Hi, I'm Brydie.
Hello, I'm Emma.
Hi, I'm Flora.
Hi, I'm Joel.
G'day, I'm Pearly.
And we're the Creative Change Project team. We'd like to begin our presentation today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands upon which our project is based, the Jagera and Turrbal peoples, and to pay our respect to elders past, present, and emerging. We'd also like to extend that respect to our First Nations colleagues who might be joining us on our presentation today. The purpose of our presentation is to introduce you to the Creative Change Project team and to some of our early thinking about the project as it begins to evolve over the next 3 years. We rarely see the CMA as a great community of kindred musicians and critical friends, and we'd certainly welcome your feedback on our journey as we begin. So let's start. The Creative Change Project is an Australian Research Council Future Fellowship, and we have a dream team working on this particular project. You can see them on screen right now, alongside a group of amazing case study partners, an external evaluator, and a growing international advisory group. At the heart of our project, we're really aiming to advance our understanding of the role that community music can play in addressing entrenched inequalities. Inequalities, which are caused by systemic injustices and inequities, are on the rise, with the current pandemic exacerbating problems of long-term disadvantage in many communities. The UN reports that the pandemic has deepened existing inequalities, hitting the most vulnerable communities the hardest. There are growing calls for place-based initiatives that bring together diverse stakeholders and sectors to work collectively, hand in hand with communities on addressing these complex challenges, both now and in our recovery from the pandemic. Our research is seeking to examine the ways in which community musicians are responding to this call in Australia. We're interested in the sorts of social outcomes fostered by community music and how these outcomes could enrich future place-based efforts to address social disadvantage. So to dig a little bit deeper into how we've been thinking about the concept of community, I'm now going to hand you over to Joel.
Thanks, Brydie. As a team, we've been challenging our understandings of what community is and what it means to be part of a community. And to understand this further, we've taken time to reflect, discuss, and challenge our own knowledge and experiences to collectively identify what we believe community to be. To the team, the term community is defined as a group of people who share a connection that binds them together through dynamic interactions and through a shared involvement. That connection may form around a location, space, place, interest, value, identity, circumstance, situation, or characteristic. At other times, a community may be conceptualized by external forces such as government policies or global factors, or the community's remoteness. And sometimes a community may be forced to be together or be involuntary, such as people who have been incarcerated, or in compulsory settings such as schools. Creative Change team members are part of multiple communities formed around arts, music, sports, culture, charities, vocation, families, friendships, education, and professional development. And we recognise that being part of a healthy community involves an active choice to acknowledge what we have in common and to freely engage with each other. We also recognise that being part of a community is not always easy, and it does have challenges, and at times it may come with effort, obligation, and potentially leave people feeling like they have a duty to participate, causing mixed feelings or emotions, especially when some members do not share one's same values or beliefs. We also know that communities can be exclusionary, and we recognise the impact of feeling that we are not part of a community. Finally, being part of a community can provide a sense of connectedness, inclusion, affinity, and personal acknowledgement as we become part of a collective ethos. I'm now going to hand it over to Pearly and Flora to elaborate on how these ideas of community relate to community music.
Thanks, Joel. It'd be fair to say that we as a team are still far from conclusive answers to the question of what is community music, but we have been generating some interesting questions and problematizing, challenging fixed binaries and absolutes Lively group discussion has arisen not only from our readings of the literature, but from our extensive shared professional histories and lived experiences. We're also keen on understanding community music in the Australian context, mapping and understanding this continent's specific community music landscape. Community music is defined by its relationship to the communities for and within which it operates. Therefore, there are as many definitions of community music as there are communities. The terms music and community are complex and grounded in cultural context. While seeking out practical and robust definitions, we remain flexible and open to evolving our ideas of both terms and how they relate to each other. Our understanding of community music will also continue to evolve as a greater diversity of voices is heard within the practice and study of community music.
An important theme that emerges from our shared discussions is that when it comes to community music, we are interested in the underpinning values, the spirit, and the ethos at work in the field. At its core, community music is about shared learning, shared ownership, emancipation, and empowerment, the only boundaries to which are the imaginations of the facilitators and participants themselves. In essence, community music can be defined as music by, for, and with the community. It's a way of operating. It's a way of making music together in a participatory way that upholds values of inclusion, equity, justice, and access, and sharing music that's of relevance and importance to the context in which that community is defined. To put our team's ideas in the context of our project design and explain how it relates to the concept of equity, we'll now hand over to Emma.
Thank you, Flora and team. I guess beyond understanding what community and community music mean, we're interested in understanding how community music contributes to the project of social equity. To start our thinking and investigation around this question, we've been systematically reviewing the literature about place-based arts and community music specifically. These reviews are demonstrating that participatory music and arts more broadly have great potential to create change for individuals, communities, and whole societies. But stronger evaluation frameworks are needed, and our understanding of the mechanisms of change need to be strengthened. As Brydie mentioned in the opening, in our project, we are interested in understanding the role that music can play in addressing social inequity, that is unjust and avoidable disparities in life outcomes. We know that social inequity is widespread, both between and within countries around the world. We know that structural social systems of power, the way that our societies are organised and operate, mean that certain groups thrive at the expense of others. And we know that where a person lives and their social connections or lack of can define whether a person has access to the resources they need to allow them to reach their fullest potential and live a fulfilled, happy, and healthy life. With this project, we're asking ambitious questions about how music can help us shift these systems in transformational ways. And we're grappling with complex ideas around how outcomes at the individual level translate into societal change. We'll be mapping current community music practices across Australia and capturing how community music practitioners see their practices as making social change. We'll be diving into 3 or so case studies and exploring in depth the impact that music is having in specific contexts with specific groups. Through these explorations, we hope to contribute to our collective international project of strengthening the role that music can play in supporting social justice. Just to wrap us up, I'll pass back over to Brydie.
Thanks so much, Em. Well, we hope you've enjoyed our presentation, and we hope that it's given you a bit of a sense of our project and some of our early thinking. At this point, we'd really welcome further dialogue on what we've shared, but also the broader implications this project might have for our field in terms of both practice and research. We believe it's a significant local and global area where community musicians and their strengths-based ways of working have much to contribute. In my opening remarks, I mentioned the UN, and as we move further into the UN SDGs implementation decade, which runs until 2030, we're keen to put this global sustainable development agenda on the CMA program And we're really open to dialogue about the ways in which community music might contribute creative solutions to the UN's Sustainable Development Goal number 10, which relates to reduced inequalities. We're really looking forward to the discussion with you now. Thank you so much.